The calendar in Basecamp is one of the most important areas as far as delegation goes. And the reason that I find that it's one of the most important things is because it really gives you and your team a great big picture overview of, what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, who it needs to be done by, and it's a great big picture overview. So it kind of gives that one at a glance view, which is really, really helpful when planning and things like that. So what I would suggest you do when you're working with a team, and if you're working with our team, is use the calendar and plot out some of the things that need to happen. So you could plot out just maybe the bigger events, not every single thing that needs to happen, but maybe just the big things. And then your team at least has, sort of goals to work toward. The other thing that happens a lot is when you're delegating is that you might be delegating out tasks and you may think that you've delegated out the deadline or the must-have date, but in some cases you haven't. So by putting it all on the calendar, it sort of sets the precedence for the entire team, and it's a great way to get yourself organized, because it is proven that if you're more organized, you're going to be a better and more efficient delegator because you yourself know what's coming up and what needs to be done. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how to use it. It's really straightforward. You just want to click on calendar, and then from here you can see any plotted items already. There are none on this calendar, but you can click on add new event. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to put in the title of the event. Now, what I would say is that if this is an event, where it's just something that's coming up that does not need to be checked off like a to-do, this is what you would use this for. So, for example, let's say I was going to Women in Business conference. I'm actually not, but let's just pretend. I could set the date. So let's just say it was Friday, July 29th, and if there was a time I could put that in, so we'll just say 2:00 p.m. and that's an event. So I would simply just add that, and you're going to see that that's going to populate to the calendar so that myself and the team, we all know that that's coming up at this date. So now let's just say that there was, now as your team member, I can look at it and maybe I'm the person responsible for social media. So I can say to myself, okay, perfect. We need some milestones. We need to make sure that, by Friday, July 8th, we have tweets, Facebook updates scheduled for Women in Business conference. So what that might mean is that by July 8th, I need to make sure that I have all my tweets and Facebook updates scheduled to maybe announce that I'm going to this thing and maybe start, figuring out who else is going and networking ahead of time. So I would mark that as a milestone. I can assign it to whoever's responsible, and I can add it to the calendar. So your team can plot out this, the individual items that need to happen leading up to a big thing. But what I would say is that if you are working with a team, and again, if you're working with our team, really take the time to utilize the calendar, pop in there, add anything that is coming up. If you've got like an email blast that has to go out, put it on the calendar. Whatever has to happen, put it here, and that way you and your team are both on the exact same page. Hopefully this helps with your delegation, and if you have any questions, leave them as a comment on the blog post or the video. Thank you.